Well, we're back. It's good to see you all. We're back as promised. It's good to see you all. We're happy. And we're moving our way through Irish literature. Once again, this is video part number 2. We'll turn that beautiful music off. Uh, Seamus O'Houlihan here, John Conover's cousin. We hope you're having a good time and we hope you're enjoying your St. Patrick's Day. We read a poem by W.B. Yeats, one of the famous Irish poets, and hopefully we saw Angus wandering through catching his fish and wandering through life. When you hear the word wandering, a question for you: what do you think? Do you feel like it's aimless wandering, or do you feel like you have a plan? Is it meandering, or is it actually guided wandering? I don't know, but we talked about the metaphor of the fish and turning into the girl. Where's your fish? Where is your point where your life has changed? Something to think about. And of course, the idea of love is present in this poem. Okay, no matter who it is or where it is, it's love. And is it? But think about it. Is this more about gaining love or losing love? When we find stuff out, are we gaining love or are we losing it? Questions to think about. W.B. Yeats' poem. But let's move on because we already kind of discussed it, and we talked about the themes, and part of those themes for Irish music, the strong parallel can be drawn between the music of Ireland and American music. Many of you probably have Irish heritage going back almost a century or two, but there are a lot of great songs out there that are traditional Irish ballads that have become bluegrass and contemporary music. So you can probably, some of the music you listen to, maybe country music, bluegrass music, whatever it may be, R&B, whatever, has some roots in Irish music. Like, for example, the folk song, The Black Velvet Band, is an Irish song, famously by the Dubliners, and was adapted by US country singer Cliff Carlisle, became the girl in the Blue Velvet Band, and was recorded such bluegrass music such as Mac Weissman and Doc Watson. Very famous people that took Irish music and turned it into more of American music. And we're going to learn a little bit about that as we go through. But let's talk about a literary concept here we like to call adaptation. What is adaptation? It's the act of changing something by changing your behavior to make it suitable for a new purpose, situation, or even a new audience. We adapt things all the time. Writers do it. They'll adapt what they have. Maybe they've written a book and they'll adapt it into a screenplay, which becomes a play or a movie, okay? Or maybe it's a television show. So things are changing all the time, but it's something a good writer can adapt something and turn it into a work of their own. So it's not, so it still has the original roots of the situation, but it's something that is different and maybe sometimes even better than the original. And that's a great thing. And so when you write or create something, see if you can maybe adapt it first. And maybe if you adapt, do a good job of adapting it, maybe it will be something that people know and want to take further. And maybe they'll someday, if your idea is good, maybe they'll adapt your idea. So that's a literary concept of adaptation, and it is all over Irish music. And I'm going to give you an example with a couple of songs. I got my lyrics up here. There's an old Irish song about a girl who's named Rosie McCann, who's a fine lass, and a guy sees her and immediately falls in love with her, and she's beautiful and in every single way, and everyone in town knows it, and she is the star of the County Down. It's a county in Ireland, but the Americans heard this song when they came over, and it was adapted years later about a Civil War regiment, a brigade of Irishmen who came over to fight in the American Civil War, and they were very successful and won many battles, including the one in Antietam. And this dreadful battle was led by Irish troops they didn't have shamrocks, which is the symbol of Ireland, so they had to wear birch trees in their hats and their Civil War uniforms. So it's kind of a good, it's a good story as well. But I think one is about love and one is about war. But it's a good example of an adaptation. And we're going to play a few, and you can follow along with the lyrics. Like I said, you should be going through your your slideshow that we're giving you. And slideshow is something that you can follow along the lyrics and you can see where we are. I'm using it as a cheat sheet because I can't remember all the lyrics, but hopefully we'll do it. And you have to excuse my amateur guitar playing, it's going to be fine, but what a great thing to do. But notice that sameness in the song and the melody, even though the lyrics and the themes are different. One's about love, one's about war. That's okay. It's still an adaptation. All right, so we're going to start with the county, Star of the County Down. And excuse my guitar playing. I got to move over a little bit so I can see. All right, let's see. I may have to go a little slow. All right, here we go. Near Bambridge Town in the county down, one morning last July, Boring Green, kind of sweet Colleen, as she smiled as she passed me by. She looked so sweet with her two bare feet in the sheen of her nut brown hair. That her rolling canvas and coaxing my elf in the sea, I was standing there. Then bound she made onto Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town. No maid, I say, like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. Notice he says, the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. As onward she sped, I shook me head, and I gazed in the feeling queer. And I says I to a passer-by, who's the maid with the nut brown hair. He smiled at me and says to me, she's a gem of Ireland's crown. That's the Rosie McCann at the banks of the Bann, she's the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town. No maid, I say, like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. All right, so that's about love. He's got to find a girl. He sees a lass and he falls in love with her, and everyone in town, they know it. She's the star of the county down. All right.